Hello everyone, it is I, Josh Silvergreen, here to bring you a new video. And today I'm going to be talking about The Blob. Yep, that's right, I'm going to be talking about all three movies. Okay, if you didn't know, there was a sequel to The Blob, the 50s classic. The movie that debuted Stephen McQueen to an audience. I'm talking about the classic movie. The movie that makes you go, what? Jello has finally decided to eat us all? Well, in the original film, the 50s version, the Blob came from outer space. It was based on an actual story. Two police officers found a gluttonous star blob. Well, of course, it disintegrated within the air. But a filmmaker and writer decided that would be pretty scary to make a film about an anamorphic entity that could actually just literally melt you. While the 50s has violence, it's not too violent. Then, in 1970s, here comes a sequel, Beware of the Blob. One of the most laughable movies, and pretty much an unnecessary sequel to the original. It has none of the original people in it. It's set, I think it's set in a different town. I'm not really sure, I can't remember. But of course, the theme song returns again. And then, in 1988, a remake of The Blob. This time, The Blob is actually an experiment that our government has created to drop on our enemies. Well, it was put in space because they realized how dangerous the Blob was. Imagine if you dropped that in the middle of Russia or any other place. Well, actually, Russia would probably be out because it's pretty cold there, so the only place that would be safe is the Antarctic Circle, or Antarctica, because the Blob doesn't like the cold. But anyways, the government decides to create this creature that basically just keeps eating and consuming and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it basically would consume the whole entire population. And could you imagine if something like this did exist? Because our population on Earth is 7 billion. So imagine if this thing came to life and just ate every single person. It would pretty much consume the entire world, including all the animals. There's no safe place other than the Arctic Circle or Antarctica itself, because it's really cold. But yeah, I loved the first movie, the original, and I did love the remake. The remake was done very well, and I thought it was very fitting because it kind of made fun of the Friday the 13th films in a way, as you know. And then, of course, years ago, one of the Grand Theft Auto games had a advertisement for a film called Knife After Dark. Wait, hockey season's over. Jimmy, what are you doing with the knife? Ah! And of course that movie was rated R for retarded. Not a word I normally use, but it's kind of funny. I mean, that was a parody. And I think it was basically the same idea that the Blob remake introduced as a joke to the Friday the 13th films, which, by the way, were being made so many times. Like, there was, about that point, 7 films in 89. The last one, Jason Takes Manhattan, and then, oh, here comes New Line Cinema with Friday the 13th, Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell, which, of course, they decided not to use Friday the 13th, which a lot of people are like, well, they didn't have the rights to use it. No, they decided in a meeting not to use Friday the 13th. That's why it's called Final Friday. Because they basically got the idea from Jason Takes Manhattan. Pretty much, it's a long word anyways. I mean, you got Friday the 13th, then you got Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I know I'm going off script. In fact, I don't even use a script when I'm talking about these things, because I just think on top of my head. But also, rest in peace, George A. Romero. You were a wonderful, terrific director. We will all miss you. We will miss you. Sorry, I have bloopers in this video, probably. I know I don't edit these things. Usually most people would try to edit out all the stuff, but I don't bother with that. originally my idea for a video was talking about how we, as fans, try to use real life within horror movies, or any movie for that matter. For instance, Chucky. It's a doll. Everyone keeps saying, why don't they just kick the doll? Well, you can kick the doll, but he's just gonna get back up, be more mad, and kill you anyways. You have to, like, literally destroy him. And everyone's like, well, why don't they just destroy all the dolls? Well, you can destroy the doll, but you can't destroy the soul. The soul is pretty much in the doll, so it might find another object to possess. I don't know. They never really explained it, other than we know that Chucky is alive, and nobody believes it. Or how about this? You're watching an action movie, a classic 80s action film, when all of a sudden the hero of the movie uses a LOL rocket launcher, which the back blast area would literally kill anybody behind him, but he uses it in a very confined space. That's not real life logic. We can't use real life logic for those movies, because I know if I was in a movie and I'd say Chucky comes after me, I'd probably kick him. I say field goal his ass and run. But that's just me, and I used to joke about that all the time. Like, it's not a common, it's not like it's not been used before, because a lot of people said that. Or why don't we just kick the doll and run? Of course, it's like the rules of horror. You know, the final girls, or the people that survive, who are going to be like the survivors of towards the end of the movie, they do everything to try to vanquish the evil. Of course, they only temporarily defeat the evil, because the evil keeps coming back. But anyways, this is my review of the Blob films. Also, I've heard that they're going to make another remake of the Blob, which should be really interesting. It would be great if they would take the idea from like the 1988 remake, where they put it in the Antarctic, and I think that's what it's about. Is a team discovers it on Antarctica, so it might be a correlation between the 88 remake, which is a really good film. So check those out. If you want something laughable, watch the 70s sequel that was pretty much unnecessary and doesn't need to exist, but it does. So check those out. Tell me your thoughts, what you liked about the Blob film. Tell me what you thought about how we try to use real-life logic with horror logic, or film logic, because film logic, it's entertainment. It's fictional. Alright, I will talk to y'all later, so love, hit that like button, sub if you're new, and I will I'll talk to y'all later. Love.